Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, we continue our focus on the Rivers Chief Judge matter. But let's see, do we have this report now on this same subject? So, okay. We're joined now by Golden Chioma, who is the chairman of the Rivers State House of Assembly Committee on the Judiciary. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Good morning.
What a big argument about who can or who cannot appoint the chief judge. What's going on?
I think the 1999 Constitution is clear who appoints the chief judge. The chief judge is the head of the judiciary. And the framers of the 1999 Constitution did it in such a way that the other two arms of government, the executive and the legislature, has ample opportunity to also checkmate who becomes. If the NJC does a recommendation, it's sent to the governor. And the governor has the right to accept or reject a recommendation. It's not sacrosanct that once a recommendation comes, the governor must take it.
If it's that clear, why is it a subject of litigation?
Because it's not that clear, and because it has not happened before, the Rivers State governor had to go to court because he said he didn't like the recommendation.
So, can the Rivers State...
If at that point, even if he accepts it and sends it to the House of Assembly, if the House of Assembly votes on that issue and the vote is against the recommended person, that recommendation aborts at that point.
You say he went to court because he didn't like the recommendation.
It's subject of litigation.
But doesn't that suggest that, look, if you don't like the recommendation, as you put it, it takes away the independence of the judiciary?
Yeah, you also find out that it's already sub judice, so I'm also scared. But Justice Akambi, in his judgment, dealt on it. And I think the recommendation that was subject to litigation and haven't gotten a judicial interpretation, then we should be looking at that.
Yeah, but I'm looking at this, the way it comes across, because if people talk about the principle of separation of powers, and then it's heard or it's said, as you have said, that, well, the governor doesn't like this recommendation. It does suggest that the executive arm seems to be a very interested party at that in who becomes.
No, put it this way. If you say he's very interested, if he believes that the recommendation was not in line with procedure, for instance, in the Rivers State case, the JSC sent 2 names. And the NJC felt that the first person that was recommended, in their own opinion, was rejected. Now, it smacks some funny issues. The JSC that is on ground, that have had cause to interact with the parties, should be given more credit. But you get a situation where the NJC has some other issues which the other people that went to court anyway were not satisfied with. So the most important thing here is, haven't gotten a judicial interpretation, I would also want all parties to abide by the law.
Give us your interpretation.
Sorry,
Let me just get this clear. I mean, you're in the House of Assembly in Rivers State. What's the understanding of your committee, by extension the House, in terms of the parties that are supposed to be involved and what roles do they all play in the emergence of a chief judge in the state?
Yeah, you see, the House of Assembly of Rivers State, our law for the state keeps us in a situation where we watch the other 2 arms of government. You see, we do not have any stake in it.
I mean, the procedure. What's the
procedure is clear. The governor sends a name to the House, and we deliberate on the name, and we take a vote.
Well, isn't that the third in the whole process? Because the first has to do with the JSC, right?
No, the first is the JSC, yes.
Yes, the first is the JSC.
Yeah.
And the JSC sends the names to the NJC. And the NJC picks a name and sends to the governor.
Yeah.
And the governor finally sends that to the House of Assembly.
Yeah.
Before the Assembly takes it back to the governor for final appointment. But in this case...
Well, let me correct something there.
No, we have four
I agree. When
processes.
you get to the House of Assembly,
good,
that recommendation could be aborted there. If the House, in its opinion, votes that the candidate for the office of the Chief Judge is not competent, that recommendation ends.
But it doesn't invalidate the process.
Does it also
the process
end?
does not go any further.
Okay, let us in on this. Does it also end if the NJC aborts it? Maybe it's not satisfied with the candidates recommended by the JSC.
Yeah, you see, the JSC is supposed to be the owner of the issues. Now, the NJC, for me, is supposed to oversee the JSC, not to take the function of the JSC.
Is that what the Constitution says in Section 271?
Section 271 says they are supposed to recommend. But that recommendation flows from the recommendation of the JSC. For instance, in law, we would say that the lower court has the right to avoid the demeanor of the witnesses. And the appellate court does not have that privilege.
What I'm getting when I went through the Constitution yesterday, specifically looking at Section 2711 of the Constitution, it means that we have four processes. All four must agree before a CJ emerges.
Yeah.
So in this case, we haven't actually reached that, have we?
We have.
The NJC doesn't seem to agree.
Let me explain to you. When Justice Akambi gave his judgment, I don't know if you are privileged to have gotten a judgment, a copy of that judgment. What it discussed entirely was the recommendation of the NJC, where it said that Honorable Justice Agumago was the right candidate to have been sent and disqualified the other contender. That is a valid court of Nigeria. That is the Federal High Court, not a court of Rivers State, not the High Court of Rivers State. Now, if that decision is said to be wrong, what the Constitution says is that you appeal. But in this case, because of the contending parties here, what we saw was a suspension of the Chief Judge. And you ask yourself, why was the Chief Judge suspended? And you just cited the Constitution. If you also read that Constitution, there is no part of the Constitution that gives the NJC the right to suspend the Chief Judge. No. And nobody is talking about that illegal act.
Administrative or not, they cannot.
If you read the Constitution very well, no part of it. And let me also explain to you. The NJC submitted a memo to the National Assembly asking that the Nigerian Constitution should be amended, giving them the powers to suspend judges. If you can also check the memo sent by the Chief Judge to the National Assembly, it contains that power. They were asking for it.